TNA is different today. Is it a good different? Of course it can be. But the question is right now, how long can it last? TNA just got new bodies on the show. We got new people that's here and new people that's coming in. One of them is old. Others are young. The question is going to be, will TNA be able to function properly with them? Let's get to the beginning here in the first match. Gail Kim versus the awesome one, the Kong. The match wasn't bad. This is something we can get from both of these two women because they have gone up against each other before. I do admit that it was a little too hard for Kong to beat Gail Kim. Now, I'm not saying that it's supposed to be totally easy to beat Gail. Those two have faced each other years ago. But you would expect with the strength that they've been putting on Kong, you would expect it to be a little earlier than it was. Somebody may say it was in a good amount of time. Me personally, I think it could have been shorter. Because I really believe Kong shouldn't have had a hard time with Gail. Gail does lose, and now the Kong herself has a shot going after Terrence Terrell. Well, at least when she comes back from Hollywood. But the question here that I pose to you guys, do you actually believe they're going to let Kong get the championship? I'm hoping they do. Because, let's be honest here, we have no type of storyline for the knockouts. Putting Kong on that pedestal with that title will give us something if TNA will go there. And since we have not seen Havoc since the death of her father, which I really hope she does come back, and I hope she's okay, losing the death of somebody really does affect you in a way that you wouldn't expect. Also, having not gone on the UK tour, she might have had a problem with TNA, so I'm hoping there isn't anything serious. But we go from there. The part that I was not sure about is what's going on with Storm. I said this last week when it came to Storm coming into the ring and stopping Bram from annihilating Mickie Jane, and it looked like her boobies had gotten bigger. You guys tell me below. But the question I have, particularly what happened after that when he needed a partner to go into the Ultimate X match, first they got to go through the qualifying, then they go to the Ultimate X, and then they go in there. But the question to all of you is, will they actually go there with Storm dealing with a Mickie Jane to deal with a Magnus? Will Storm actually try to go after her, try to mess with her, try to take her as his woman, even though she's going to be married soon? Will they actually go there with Magnus, the mother of his child, going to be harassed and taken from him? I'm hoping they do. But the way TNA's been notoriously in the past, they begin to go there and then they drop off from it because they kind of get a little nervous about it. I'm hoping it doesn't happen that way, but it's a possibility. Now, I did mention the match afterwards, so let's get it over with. The triple threat to go into the, well, to go into Ultimate X with Storm. Quia, Manic, and the Abyss. I wish Abyss would disappear. Supposedly now, the Great Sonata is not with the team anymore. Now, I missed the week before the last one, so I didn't really see it. So I didn't see what happened. And I have to see if I can get to see that. I was not in a good place, as you know. But the thing is, now that the Great Sonata is not there, is the evolution beginning to slim down? I honestly believe that it should begin to fade away. Because they really haven't done anything with them. You could have Storm going after Mickie Jane and having to fight Magnus with the remaining members, which is going to be Quia and it's going to be Manic. Let the Abyss go somewhere else. Maybe work with Tyrus. I had actually thought about that earlier. Let Tyrus and the Abyss work together. They both don't do that well separately. Maybe as a tag team they actually do something in the tag team division. Now here comes the smudge of people who are going to be in the tag team division. We got EC3 with Bram. We now have Anderson with Rockstar Spud, which was kind of funny seeing Rockstar Spud say, hey, I'm doing that after you because it's funny, it's funny. And he says, Rockstar Spud! And then Spud almost knocking his ass back. That wasn't bad. I mean, Seeing Spud in this position is pretty good, but my question is, why the fuck didn't he come down with his X Division Championship belt? I think it was necessary to come down there to show that he is the X Division Champion. Particularly that Davey Richards just had a match by himself for the first time on TNA against Zema Ion, a perfectly good jobber. That kind of makes you think Rockstar Spud is not going to have that belt for long because he's going to get destroyed by Davey Richards. That's the way it looks. But I wasn't too fond of seeing that because that's really a big hint. But seeing that Davey Richards' match against Zema Ion wasn't a bad match, but I have to admit, he kind of looks awkward. I guess it's because Eddie Edwards is not there, and I'm used to seeing them together. Now, how can I say this? That won't make any sense. Seeing the triple threat at the end of the show, I was not interested. You know why? Because there's no storyline behind it. Now, I can understand what's going on with Angle and Lashley, that Lashley's shoulder was up, but I felt that that was really a cheap way to continue the feud. Because we really need to break up. We need to do something more. I mean, when you look at it, you really need to do something more with Robert Roode and Austin Aries involving Kurt Angle. Now, I know they were in that big schmoz of tag teams, and I don't expect them to be the ones to win. If they win, we're going to have a big mess on our hands because we do not have anyone in the heavyweight championship title hunt. No one. The only ones you're going to have is Lashley, Eli, and MVP. That's nothing. That's the reason why I believe Austin Aries and Robert Roode will not win Ultimate X next week. It's not going to happen. But when you see this, it really looks very empty at the very beginning of the show until Eli comes out to do something. And then I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe Eli is going to be either taking the title, which might somewhat be alright because he is a heel right now. It's not a very good heel. To be honest, when he was beating down Kurt Angle, he sounded like the guy from the Lord of the Rings. My precious, mine. Or the guy from the Dark Crystal. If you've ever heard of the Dark Crystal, look it up. But I'm going by the Lord of the Rings. That's what everybody knows. My precious sounded like Eli as mine. But when you look at the match, at first it doesn't really feel like much. Particularly the way things were with Eli being outside the ring. I mean, he did the heelish thing. Let them fight it out. And he stays outside and then gets his butt kicked. Eventually. And then you got the Kurt Angle winning. I thought this is not going to be much. This is, if you're going to do a Lashley Angle 4, come on. At least until Eli attacks the Lashley, the Dominator, baby. I was actually happy about that because now we're going to have another feud. Is it going to be a good feud? I don't know. Eli is not a bad heel. Working with Robert Roode didn't do bad for him. It actually really progressed his character enough that if he's going up against someone, I do believe he can be, to a certain extent, a credible threat. He's practically the only best heel we have right now next to Storm. Seeing him up against Lashley? I'm not sure about it. I mean, it's going to depend on how they leave Lashley less talking. In other words, the more Lashley talks, the more the storyline is going to look bad because Lashley just isn't a very good talker. He just is not a good talker. He's terrible. He has his moments, but he's just not a talker. He needs a fucking manager to stay with him permanently and talk for him. But since he's by himself, I'm hoping Eli will be the one who's going to talk for him, which will get tiring after a while depending on how long the feud is. But that's not a bad thing. The question is going to be for Kurt Angle, who is he going up against next? I mean, there's almost no one left for him to deal with unless someone new is coming into the company next to the ones I'm about to mention. And the Knockouts. We now have two new women coming in, Jade and who is it? It's gonna be Marky Bell. Marty Bell. I can't pronounce her first name. It's stupid. But the Dollhouse is coming into the fray. Hopefully in a couple of weeks to a month. I am looking forward to that. New fucking knockouts. What we need, baby. We need more. We need more women. How many women is that going to make? We got Terrence Terrell. We got Kong. We got the Gayla Kima. Brooke hopefully will be back on TV. I think Brittany's still there, but I haven't seen her in a long time. I think she might be gone from the company. And then these 2 women. That makes 7 women. We need at least 15 women on the roster to have a good ability to work. Hell, if we got enough women on the roster, we can bring back the tag team belts. Which I think is a great waste. That we had the tag belts and there was so few women to work with it. It languished until they used Eli and ODB to do the job. And I think that was so sad. I'm hoping they'll bring it back if they get at least 15 to 20 women. Then at least you have enough women to do the tag belts and the knockouts division. That's what I'm hoping for. Give me 20 women. Give me 4 or 5 storylines, even if they're not very good. Give me something, TNA. But that's what we got. The next bit, which is the last bit I'm going to talk about, will be the Rising. Now, like I said, I didn't really see the Impact before the last one, which was Bell to Bell. I didn't really see it. I have not been myself, as you know, that unfortunately my cat had died. But from what I can tell, seeing the son of Aku, which is Micah, and this Eli, what is his name? I can't remember what his name is right now. I think it's Eli Drake. If I'm wrong, tell me below. But seeing this, seeing that new people are coming in, yeah, it can be a bit tiring because now how many different groups is that right now? You got the Evolution, you got the Rising, now you got the BDC. I am not fond of seeing so many factions in TNA. Unless a faction's about to go away and a new one comes up, it makes perfect sense. If the Evolution's going to begin to fade away, I'm alright with that because they really didn't do much with the Evolution anyway. Evolution really didn't get that far. They kind of dropped it for the BDC. But seeing that this Eli and the Micah having the same hairstyle as basically Eli, it's not a bad thing. But it's good to see that TNA decided to finally, look, we're on a new network. The people seem to be responding well to it, even though our numbers are very low. Let's start bringing people in. We have so few people on our roster. It shows. I mean, look at the tag belts. You got 5 teams. You pretty much, you can see the entire roster in that team. I mean, the only ones that's not a tag team is Tyrus and the Abyss. And if Abyss and Tyrus get together, that makes 6 tag teams. So it's obvious their roster is so small. But seeing that they're bringing in a couple more people, and I'm really hoping they'll start doing some more live events, that it'll start building themselves up on Destination America. Now let's be honest here. They're never going to get the same numbers they did on Spike. Not right now. This year, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The beginning of this year, maybe 6 months, they'll be going to get their legs. And we'll really see if TNA is going to get somewhere. Because we're in April. We're almost 2 months away from my prediction of how TNA has been responding. Have they actually learned from what they went through in Spike? Have they actually learned in the 6 months to actually make their show better? I'm going to say this before that happens. Have they improved? The styling of the show is better. I don't believe the lighting is right. But seeing that you now have Josh Matthews as a commentator who really refreshes the entire show. You now see that new people are coming in. You saw like in Bell to Bell, they actually was willing to go out on a limb and do some illustrations, cartoon illustrations, to make something special in their show. To the point where you normally wouldn't see like a black man in the main title scene. We still have Lashley as one of the main guys in the title scene, and he's not going away anytime soon. which is a great thing to see, unlike WWE that won't even give a boy a shot because of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That man has ruined WWE. He's such a moron. But you get my point. I thought this show was okay. It does still feel a little botchy, particularly that they were throwing so much new stuff out to see if it was going to stick. It did make the show look a bit sloppy. But I'm glad to see that there's going to be 4 new people coming in. I'm glad to see that they're going to do something with the tag belts. Admittedly, I don't want to see an Ultimate X match, but they tend to throw that out all the time, and I can't really complain about it. I'm just hoping that the right team will win. And I don't really know who that is, but whoever it is, I'm hoping it'll be a good person. I think the best person might be Storm and Quia. That might be the best persons next to the Hardys. But this is just my point of view. What is yours? So hope you enjoyed this Zane view. Please give me a comment below. Tell me what you'd like me to talk about in one of my Debate of the Weeks. I wouldn't mind taking a request. You guys have a good day and have a good night.